You were that's actually the colors of 5R.
I know.
All right, let's see.
There you go.
Should I suck it in here a little bit? See the shadow on our heads? I don't like it. We're live right now, but I don't care. I include the audience when we're talking.
Absolutely.
So, do you see this little like shadow right here?
That's just your
Should I talk with my head up in the air like this?
Like your snob or something?
Hey, what's up, man? Like that?
What's up?
That's
What's
pretty
up?
good. What's up, everybody? I am Johnny Ray.
And I am Dan.
And this is 5R Recovery. You know what we like to do here at 5R Recovery? We're not going to use the word. I've been told that I use a word so much that I'm starting to get shadow banned on social media. Can you believe that's actually a possibility? It is a possibility. You know what? I don't care. I'm a gangster. Oh, not really a gangster. I like to push people's boundaries. You know, what we want to do at 5R Recovery is we like to open up the conversation about things that maybe people don't like to talk about. I'm not going to say the word, but those kinds of issues, things that maybe you should open up your mind. We want to create free thinkers when it comes to addiction. Free thinking. That's hard for Dan, right?
A little bit.
So we like to discuss topics that maybe other people haven't talked about. We want you to do your research. And then after you do your research, we want you to research those sources. And then after you research those sources, we want you to research their sources. We want you to research information because I feel like over the past 50 to 100 years, addiction has been misconstrued and has been tossed around with all of these fake ideas and these false narratives that make us out to be victims, that make us out to be incapable of doing things, like people that can't function because we had drug addictions. Like, we're not smart enough to get the right kind of jobs.
Right.
We're not smart enough to function in society. So what we need is for other people, government programs and others to take advantage, or not take advantage, take care of us.
Right.
So that's what we're really going to talk about today. And I have a couple of things I want to start with, but let's start with your week.
My week?
How was your week, Dan?
Wonderful.
I didn't bring my coffee in.
It was fucking beautiful. My weeks are always good.
Yeah.
As long as I get to breathe, a little bit of fresh air, get to stand out on my back porch and thank God every day that I have a place to live and I'm not out in this lovely Washington weather we're having right now.
Yeah.
It's all good.
That is good. That's a good week. Not bad. My week was a little bit less good. I'm not going to specifically say why, but, we had some illness at my family and we did our best to take care of it and ended up getting us all sick. And so this last week was, me kind of being bedridden for a little while. But now that we're past it, I'm glad to be back. How long has it been since we've done a video together?
3 weeks.
But I think it's been longer. Has it been 3 weeks?
3 weeks.
3 weeks? Gosh, everybody in there, our directors are all back here going, yeah, it's 3 weeks, Johnny. Get it straight.
Yeah.
Get it straight.
Keep
so
track,
if you want to know what I want to talk about today.
I don't even know.
So I didn't include him on what we were going to talk about today. And the reason is because I don't want it to be edited. I want 5R Recovery to always be raw. I want it to be real. I want it to be unprepared. I want people to voice their opinions when they get hit with a question that they weren't able to research themselves. Because it's genuine, right? It's authentic. It becomes vulnerable. I like doing this when I talk.
Yeah, the emotional.
I like to do this when I talk.
A little bit. I got you.
So what we're going to talk about today is the American Medical Association. Does anybody know what the American Medical Association is?
Nope.
The American Medical Association. Oh, well, it just so happens I'm going to read some things that you guys can get an idea of who the American Medical Association is. Okay. The American Medical Association, or the AMA, classified alcoholism as a disease in 1956 and included addiction as a disease in 1987. In 2011, the American Society of Addiction Medicine, ASAM, joined the AMA, which is the American Medical Association, in defining addiction as a chronic brain disorder, not a behavior problem or just a result of making bad choices. The reason I want to talk about the AMA today is because I want to introduce you guys to why it is that I do research. I have come to find out that I absolutely love research. And what a lot of people do is they see somebody like the American Medical Association, they give a definition of what addiction is to them, and they have more influence over all of the medical professionals than any other association in the world.
Right.
Meaning that if they say it's a disease, that doctors and medical practitioners and everything are now required to put that information in to their studies and their research, okay? Why does this matter to people like us? Well, I'll explain it why. The AMA, we're going to talk more about this, okay? Not only is the AMA the most influential people when it comes to medical practitioners and medical professionals, the AMA is one of the nation's leading lobbying forces. Do you know what a lobbying force is? A lobbying force just so happens to be an influence on our American politicians. So that's like saying that the AMA, one of the biggest medical associations in the world, has most influence on political figures and has most influence on medical practitioners and doctors than
Okay.
any other association in the world. Again, why does that matter? I'll tell you why it matters.
He will.
I will, and then I'll ask you guys some questions. Okay. It says it's the leading lobbying forces and its political actions committee, which dispenses money to political campaigns. Okay. So they pay political people to spread the message of whatever it is that they say. Okay. This has to do with vaccinations and all this stuff too as well. Money, follow the money. You'll find the honey. Okay.
Right.
Is also one of the nation's wealthiest. So they have one of the largest amounts of money as far as one of the associations goes. The associations run awareness campaigns on health issues and works to shape governmental policy and affects doctors and patients. Okay. So say I was to say that this drug is bad, and I'm in the American Medical Association. Not only do I say that this drug is bad, now you're required to say that this drug is bad. And your employees are required to say that this drug is bad.
Whether
now,
they believe it or not.
Whether they believe it or not, because they're the force. Now, let's just say that they make the drug that counteracts that drug. So say they say that this drug is good, right? And it ends up killing a bunch of people. And then they make the drug that cures that. They can go tell people now that that drug is good. Take our drug, make it better. Now we make money for it, and we're influencing the political government to make these decisions. The reason,
seeing a vicious cycle,
a very vicious cycle. What it comes down to is power, greed, control, manipulate. See, 5-Hour Recovery. And this is where I'm not going to say the word. 5-Hour Recovery believes that in actuality, people don't want to fix the problem of addiction. I don't believe the world right now really gives a crap about addicts. I don't believe they're trying to fix the situation. They're not trying to make things better. I believe addiction is a form of control, and people are in control of our behaviors and the way we are in the world, okay? So when you look at it as a massive scale, which is the American Medical Association, it is important for us to research why it is in their best interest to give this kind of information to everybody else. I'm going to read 2 more things, and then I'll get some questions, okay? The AMA raises $300 million a year, primarily through royalties, subscriptions, reprints, credentialing, and membership dues. Okay. But also, the AMA has lost a significant amount of credibility in the recent years. The American Medical Association has offered its seal of approval to various products and drugs, despite the fact that organizations has no capacity to test such drugs. So they're out there saying this drug is good, this drug is bad, this drug is good, this drug is bad. You're expected to comply, you're expected to register it, and you're expected to say that through this organization. This is where it gets weird. The AMA holds the exclusive rights to medical billing codes and doctors. The exclusive rights to medical billing codes and doctors. They are required to use when they submit bills to insurance plans. It is a monopoly that critics, I'm trying to read and I'm up close. Okay. It is a monopoly that critics say gets in the way of making healthcare less expensive and potentially more effective in Chicago. Okay. The AMA holds the exclusive rights to medical billing codes and doctors, right? I just said that. Why is that important? Okay. I'm going to talk about this, and this is where we're going to get everybody involved. I wanted to read those 4 things.
Take your time, man.
Okay. Does anybody know what the Purdue Company is? Here's another one of those things, right? So we have the American Medical Association, right? Does anybody know what the Purdue Company is? The Purdue Company is solely responsible for the OxyContin epidemic that happened.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody heard of the Purdue Company?
Yep.
Okay. Big pharmaceutical company, right? A massive pharmaceutical company. They were responsible for, if drug addicts, we have multiple ones in this room, that understand the OxyContin epidemic that happened in the world. Oh, yeah. How did that happen? Does everybody remember that? The 80s that were going around, you could smoke on foil, and it was that big thing, right? It was a big thing, and then all of a sudden it went away. The Purdue Company was filed $3 billion in lawsuits and responsible for paying out all of this money for creating the opioid epidemic during that time of OxyContin. Okay. Who do you think the Purdue Company partners up with?
AMA.
The AMA.
Gotcha.
Do you see why we talk about this kind of stuff? So here we are. Okay. The AMA is helping Purdue Company produce OxyContins, and then just so happens to write the prescription that helps people deal with OxyContins. Does anybody else find that weird?
What you're trying to get to is like Suboxone.
It is exactly what I'm trying to get
to.
You. Exactly. It's nothing to get. Now, again, these are just my opinions. These are just my thoughts. I'm not saying everybody stop taking Suboxone. That's not what I'm saying. I'm not everybody saying you should. I'm saying research, right? Look into the sources in which this information comes, because what you will find is the same person that is calling it a disease is the same people who are funding money to your treatment facilities, that are the same people that are writing the prescriptions for you to have. And that's the problem, is that the people who are influencing our world are the ones that are getting the most rich off of it.
Isn't that crazy?
That is crazy. So do your research. That's what this is all about. We're going to talk about a topic here, but I want to ask you guys, how do you feel about what I just said after not knowing any of that information? How does it make you feel that the very people that created the epidemic are the same people that are trying to cure it?
Well, I knew that, but
Of course.
I didn't know who it was, right? Pisses me off.
Oh my God, it should.
Everything pisses Dan off, though. We're kind of learning this, right?
Yeah.
I've lost a lot of friends to that epidemic, right?
Me too.
I lost my sobriety to that epidemic.
Me too.
Being able to label who caused that, it's not cool, man.
It's not cool. It's not cool. In fact, just so you don't take my word for it, I did print out the article. Okay,
Of course you did.
I'm going to read out the article. Of course, do your research in your sources. Okay. The untold story of Purdue Pharma's cozy relationship with the American Medical Association. The prestigious doctors groups that made it virtually impossible to discern where public health guidance ends and industry and interests begin. Facts matter. Sign up for free, blah, blah, blah. Okay. The American Medical Association new training on pain management arrived in the midst of burgeoning crisis. It was September 2007. This was right around that time. I'm sorry, I'm going to burp. And doctors were prescribing enough opioid painkillers each year for every American adult to have a bottle of the addictive pills. They were prescribing so many Oxycontins at this particular moment in time, right? Now, why were they able to get away with this? Well, because they formed an alliance with the American Medical Association, who is now prescribing it in every doctor's office across the nation, who is now saying that you need to take this in order to manage your pain. And now it created an epidemic that started killing people on a massive scale. This are the same people that say that addiction is a disease.
And it was so easy to get. I just had to walk into the doctor's office and said, oh, my back hurts.
And
they were like, oh.
It was everywhere. We have good friends like Luella who talks about that's how she had chronic back pain. And they would just, or Amanda, that's how Amanda started. When you look into our drug addiction, do you think heroin and methamphetamine kills more people than prescription medications every year? No. It's not possible, right? So why is it that we are so open to not just have these discussions? That's what we want to do at 5R, if anything.
Right, absolutely.
We just want to open up your minds to understanding, like, look into the things that we're talking about. I don't just print off this stuff and read it and research it because I want to be the C word, controversial. Oops, said it. The reason I say that is because I want people to discuss it so we can possibly save lives. Right. Now we're going to get into our discussion. Now that I've given you that bit of information. So we're going to talk about sex. Are you ready?
Let's talk about sex,
baby. Let's talk about you and me. Which is weird is that we didn't plan that. What's so weird is we didn't.
I didn't even know what the topic was. So this is great.
Yeah. So it's not just. And I just want to start with sex because when everybody says sex on a thing, instantly people go, "What was that?" I'm interested.
What are we talking about?
I get it. Let me hear about it. Okay, so sex. We're gonna talk about sex. We're gonna talk about food. We're gonna talk about gambling. Okay.
You're hitting on all my topics.
I know. The reason we're gonna talk about these is because I have some questions for you. Would you say that sex addiction is a disease?
Oh yeah.
You think it is?
Okay. No, I mean,
you think it's the same as?
Well, I don't think it's a disease. I think it's a mental fucking. Yeah.
Okay.
But you know what? All guys are fucking addicts with sex. Bro.
Okay, so let's talk about that. Be more specific. What do you mean by that?
From the time we get our first erection, I believe that's all we fucking think about for the rest of our lives until we can't get one. Right?
Is sex addiction treatable?
With lots of sex.
I'm asking him serious questions.
Right, people. I mean, that's a serious. I mean,
is it? No, I'm being real. As far as a medical,
you know what? They do have Sex Anonymous.
They sure do.
Does
anybody else find that a little odd, considering that sex is an absolute essential part of life in order for life to be able to be created? So, would you consider substance abuse and sex addiction to be the same?
Oh no.
No. Okay. So, if it's sex addiction, what changes it from a habit to an addiction? Would you say overuse?
Chronic masturbation? I don't know.
It's important to ask these questions.
This is a weird conversation to be having with my boy here.
It's supposed to be weird. The reason I want to talk about this is because they actually classify sex addiction as what we call a process addiction. And what a process addiction is a form of an addiction that people actually have to have in order to survive, which makes it a separate type of addiction. But here's the funny part about it. The AMA, who we just got done mentioning, doesn't consider food, sex, or gambling to be a disease. Why is that? Because they can't make money off of it.
Well, not only that, I mean,
That's
they're
what
having
it is.
sex too.
Okay, right? No, but you're missing my point.
But I'm being honest.
I agree.
Then they'd have to
You're
take a
missing-
medication for it too.
You're missing my point. The reason they classify substance abuse
No, I get it.
as an addiction and as a disease is because they give you the prescriptions that now fix for that. So they label it as a disease. Now your insurance pays for that treatment and pays for that Suboxone or for their medical pharmaceuticals,
Yeah, well,
and in
there's
turn
no
keeps you
medicine.
coming back. So let's talk about sex, right? So like we talked about sex addiction. Why
So-
is sex addiction not a disease, and why is substance abuse a
Okay,
disease?
so
I just said why.
Yeah.
Keep going.
But for
Right.
me, sex when you're on drugs, totally different
Oh my
monster.
God, you're missing.
No. I'm getting to somewhere. Hold on. Why is it different? God damn, it's hard to even say, dude. Besides what you said,
Yeah.
like, I fucking hate this topic. I
Let's
love
switch
it.
it. Let's switch it to food.
Okay, we can do food. I
Let's
love
do
food.
food.
I
Okay.
love sex too, but
What
I mean,
would
I
you
like
call
food.
somebody who is addicted to food? A glutton. Okay, that's a good one. Somebody who's an overeater. Obsessive overeater
That's
is what
what
they
I was
qualify it
thinking,
as, right?
yeah.
They classify that as.
Oh, we got a hand up.
Oh, Darren. Yeah.
I love
He's
it.
terrified. He's like,
We
okay,
love it.
so let's talk about this, right? Okay, so food. What class? When people say drugs is a symptom of our disease, you hear it in all the literature. It's propaganda filled. That's what they say it is. Drugs is actually a symptom of our disease. And I actually asked a question on Facebook. You
It's
guys
a
can check
symptom
me
of
out.
our disease?
That's what's in all of our literature. Is
Right.
drugs is just a symptom of our disease. It's in NA, it's in
Right.
AA, it's in all the literature. That's what they say. Because your addiction way before you ever picked up your first drug, you're an addict. That's what people say. Okay. If you look at my Facebook feed, and I just asked a question the other day, is it possible for somebody to be an addict without ever picking up a substance? Yes, it is. Lori says it is. Do you agree? So we're born with being an addict, right? Is that what is
Well,
that?
they're saying it's genetic.
They're saying it's genetic. Okay, perfect. So is it genetic to be addicted to sex before you actually ever had it? Is it
I don't know. Yeah, that's
I know.
That's
Is
really
it
good,
genetic to be addicted to food before you've ever eaten it? Is it genetic to be addicted to money before even actually spending it? And how
right?
do you test for this? I would like to know. And the reason I would like to know is because if you open up your mind, you will see that there is a pattern. The reason the American Medical Association says that substance abuse is addiction and not these others as addiction is because they make money off of you being an addict. And that's all there is to it. And that's what I'm trying to teach people. That's why when people think I'm so against all of these other programs, I'm not. That their intentions are good. You should do these other programs if it makes you happy, healthy,
Right.
and a productive member
Keeps
of
you
society.
clean.
But the
Right.
point is that we are living in a society of people who are not thinking with free thought. They are thinking because they have been told to think this way. And it is important for people who suffer from sex addiction. I know a couple of sex addicts, okay? One of them is a very important member of my family. And this person has told me that she has been more addicted to men than anything else in her entire life. I'm trying to be real careful because I don't want to drop her name. Anyway, my sister, Wendy Ray.
I knew, dude. I was like, I know.
My sister, Wendy Ray, as her and I have had deep conversations. Wendy, I'm so sorry.
Love you, Wendy.
I probably should have called you before I talked. Anyway, I love you, sis. She's talked about her addiction is really men, and it has been her entire life.
Right.
So when you talk about somebody like that with her and you approach her in the addiction format, when do we start classifying her as an addict as compared to somebody who just has a bad habit? When do we start looking at people who are obese and say, when is it their choice to actually start putting down food and start getting exercise? When do we start taking the money away from gamblers and say that when is it your choice to step away from the slot machine? I almost said vending machine, it's the same thing. Slot machine, step away from the slot
you're
machine and
spending
stop
your
putting money in, right?
I get it.
When is it that we start understanding that addiction is addiction, and that's what we need to classify things in?
And it's
if-
a choice.
and
It's
if
not.
It is.
Yeah.
And if we all suffer from
Right.
addiction, then by definition, it can't be a disease. So if that's the case, all the literature needs to be rewritten. All of the discussions, all the topics, it is a lot. And it's it's an extremely difficult battle. It is why I'm so looked down upon in the recovery community, is because I'm not trying to rewrite the literature. What I'm trying to do is discuss why the literature should be rewritten. I'm not trying to change your world, everybody. I'm just trying to let you understand
That there's more to it
there's
than what
more
just one
to
person
it.
wrote.
And if
Right.
the same people that are classifying this as a disease and saying that this isn't a disease, even though both forms are addicts, Are they really trying to get people clean? You've got to look at it that way. You are fighting government. You are fighting society. You are fighting narrative. You are fighting people who want to hold you down. So as long as you're an addict, I'm sorry, I get passionate. As long as you want to be a fucking addict and being controlled by people, by all means, keep using heroin and methamphetamine.
Right.
By all means, keep using fentanyl. If you want to be a controlled slave by the powers to be that are in the process of controlling your every move, then by all means, be a drug addict. I mean, that's really what you're saying. This is how we should be looking at drug addiction, is that I am tired of being controlled by people who make a buttload of money off me without me taking the necessary precautions to stop using drugs. That's what 5R is. We are trying to make you understand that there is so much more out in the world. And when you look at it that way, when you look at it like you're just a slave to somebody who's making a bunch of money off you, it might be easier to quit your drugs. What do you think?
And your job.
And
I'm just kidding. Don't quit your job. That was a joke.
That was a really well played joke, though. Can you imagine how much money they're making? Okay, so we do have some questions, and then we have people in the room. But again, open up your minds, people. Light bulb, let it go off. Being controlled. Stop using drugs. Go out there. Get off of all your pharmaceuticals if possible. Obviously, there's medications that apply. Find that one doctor that understands everything that I just said. Go to your doctor and say, hey, do you have influence from the American Medical Association? And if he says yes, ask him questions. It's your right as a patient to go, hey, I don't fully like that you keep giving me 7 different medications. And then when I'm off this one, it makes me have diarrhea. And then when I'm on this one, it makes me have, I lost trace of thoughts. And if they are not totally open to trying to help you, there is a problem with that doctor. And that doctor is probably getting kickbacks from the very medication. You notice my viewers went down to 1 after all I've talked about this. I think it's one of those things. Go ahead. Sorry.
I have something I want to say.
Okay.
So I don't know why this just popped in my head. We use drugs to bury feelings, right?
Sure.
So we do that with sex too.
Sure.
Food. Anything, really. Anything that makes us feel better,
Gambling,
right?
Yeah.
So is that why they are considering this the same thing?
No, so that's the thing is they're not.
Oh, they're not.
That's why it's so interesting is they don't believe that gambling addicts are the same addicts as people who use substances.
It's the same thing.
You have to be able to either class it all together or not. Because it's, again, we're not trying to help people.
That's where I was getting confused.
Right. And we're not trying to help people with meth. I'm not trying to help you with meth. I'm not trying to help you with heroin. I'm trying to help you with addiction.
Right.
So it's the mentality, it's the mindset, it's the behavior that we're trying to work on. It's
Absolutely.
not the methamphetamine. Methamphetamine's always going to be out there. Fentanyl's always going to be out there.
Yep.
But look who's producing the fentanyl. Where are these companies? I want you, if anything, to research who created Oxycontins, who created fentanyl, who created Vicodin, who created Percocet, who created methadone, who created Suboxone,
who created
Ritalin, and then look into these companies and how many billions of dollars in lawsuits they have every single year.
Because if you look into Ritalin and Adderall, you're going to find out that's pretty much for speed.
For sure. Think about baby powder. Right? Baby powder right now is being recalled from all of the markets. It's produced by a company called, because of the talcum, right? So it was produced by a company called Johnson & Johnson. Well, now Johnson & Johnson produces vaccines. So when you think about that and you go, well, God, they thought talcum powder was perfectly safe up until how many years ago? Well, maybe you should do some little bit more research before you start taking their vaccinations, right? Why? Because I don't fully fucking trust these people, and neither should you. You shouldn't be like. And now I'm not saying don't get vaccinated. I'm also not saying don't buy talcum powder. What I'm saying is do your freaking research like we were intended to do. We were gifted with these amazing things called brains. So I suggest that everybody try to use them. So we'll read our comments and then we'll go around. Okay, Gloria. So Bradley says, good morning, Brad. It's good to see you, Brad. Brad, you're doing amazing work. Love ya. Amy Hillman, hi, boys. We're boys, huh? I would hope that we're men. Okay, Bradley, if you run a country by fear, everyone will comply. For sure. Again, let's scare everybody to make it so we have to have, if the American Medical Association comes out and says, hey, if you don't do this, you're going to die. And now you need to tell your patients you're going to do this or you're going to die. You know how many people jump right on board? They don't even pick up their phone and research. You have a gift right here in your hand to be able to research anything. Research before they give you stuff.
Another fucking invention by the government. But I'm just saying.
Yeah, but we'll get into that too another day. Okay, so Morgan, what is your view on free Narcan and unlimited dispense of it? Okay.
That's a good question.
This is a good question. Okay. What does Narcan do?
Pulls you out of withdrawal, or it pulls you out of
death. Yeah,
basically
pulls you out of overdose, right?
Overdose.
So in a sense, its product is amazing, correct? Because it saves life. Who produces Narcan? Who makes it? What company makes it?
Right.
How much money do they get for it?
That's where the research comes in.
Exactly. And what's interesting is that you'll find, I guarantee, and I don't know this for sure, but if you research where Narcan comes from, I bet you it also has to do with from the same companies that
opiates or whatever
was produced. And again, that's because what we're teaching here today is that's what it's all about. The same people that are making the poison are the same people that are making the antidote, right? Yeah. And the reason is because they make money off both. So do you think they want you to get clean? Do you think because then that fentanyl and that Narcan goes away, and now they're no longer receiving
They're not making billions of dollars.
Their goal is to make it seem to society that they're making a difference, like they're making an impact on the world by them helping everybody out. But they don't really want to, which is why Seattle looks like it does.
Right.
It's because they are funneling all this money through Seattle. Well, we're going to support this program. We're going to support this program. If I brought everything that I just said in this video before the board of directors of Seattle, do you think they would be happy? Do you think they would be like, oh my gosh, no, Johnny, we really need to think about that? No, they'd probably boo me out of the courtroom, and they'd never listen to what I say. They'd probably delete all of the records of what I'm talking about.
They're making money off of this
because they're making money off of it too. So when are we going to stop? When are we going to look at it and go, you know what, we need to make a change? Good question, Morgan.
I got what someone to say about that. I feel it's a good thing. I don't feel it's a good thing. I think it saves lives, right? Yeah. I feel like it also gives the addict an excuse to keep using.
Sure. Okay. And again, now Narcan saves people's lives, right? Again, the intent is good, right? And I'm not, again, discrediting Narcan. What I'm just simply saying is that if it's the same person that's getting you high and is trying to kill you, is the same person that's creating this, maybe we need to take away both, right? You shouldn't have to have Narcan because you shouldn't have to have fentanyl. Right. And if they're making the same, you're just going to be stuck in this endless, loopless cycle of life.
And that's why I think she said they're giving it for free. What's your opinion? In my opinion, would be maybe.
And it ain't free. They may be giving it away for free, but somebody's paying for the Narcan.
Suboxone people get it for free because their Suboxone is being paid for by the insurance
company. There it is. Boom. Bam. Okay. So Amy Hillman, it says, Morgan, what is your view on Narcan? You got it. Okay, Amy Hillman buys their opinion. Yes, I agree. 100%, Amy. What is your view of the fentanyl epidemic? Well, of course, we know how the fentanyl epidemic. What's up, man? How are you? So what? Of course. What do you mean? It's absolutely traumatic what is happening with fentanyl. But it's again, why do we need something that's 50 times stronger than morphine? The same reason why morphine was created is the same reason why OxyContin was created. The same reason why it's stronger than Vicodin and Percocet, because it's for money. You know what? They're just going to keep coming out with stronger medications that are killing people faster. It's just the way it works. You got to be smart enough not to choose to use them, and you got to realize it's in everything now. So we're not talking. There's white and black. I say all the time. There's no more white and black. It's all blue. So fentanyl is in your methamphetamine and it's in your heroin. Put the shit down, get into treatment, get yourself out, get yourself a place to live, get yourself a job, and get yourself on your feet. That's what this is all about. Get off of the control from these false narratives, this fake ideology that you're somehow a victim and that you need people to take care of you. Because as long as you accept that you're being taken care of by a government entity, you will always be a slave to the powers that be, to the man, to the money. That's what this is about. It's a freaking revolution. Sorry. I just get jacked all of a sudden, bro. It is. It's a freaking let's join the revolution. This is a movement, people. It's a movement. Okay. So, what is an addiction is an addiction no matter what it is. Thank you, Brad. 100% agree. But they need to classify it as that. And that's my point is why is an overeater not the same as somebody who uses meth? It needs to be, or it's not. Right? It's one of the two. It either is or it isn't. Stop trying to say, well, they call substance abuse a disease. Okay, well, then why don't they call sex addiction a disease? I don't know, because it's a different part of the brain. How can you test for that? Oh, well, we don't know how to test for that. These are the questions you should be asking. Like, there is no way to test if somebody's an addict. You test you when you're a baby, you take a little thong of blood and go, yep, they're going to be an addict. No, it doesn't exist. It's not real.
Shoot them up with heroin or something.
Shoot them up with heroin, see if they
going to grow up and be a junkie.
It doesn't exist, people. And the reason is because of money to be made. Okay, we're almost going to get to everybody on the room. I'm sorry. Hey, everyone. Love you, Amanda. Knowledge is power. Yes, it is. Let's see. Addicts think Narcan is a safety net. However, every time it has been used on you, there's a lasting effect. You won't even know till later in life. Yes, Johnny, you said it. It is perfect. Thank you, Amanda. You're absolutely amazing. Okay, we have a bunch of people in the room. Who wants to start? Lori's ready. Let's go. I'm going to jump out.
And you're jumping out?
And Lauren. We got Lauren and Lori. You want to go first?
You both ladies?
You don't want to talk about this subject?
I mean, I'll talk.
Okay, then jump on, ladies. And now we're going to keep quiet, so you guys just let us know when you guys are done, okay?
Okay, sounds good.
Okay, go ahead, Lauren.
About 3 years ago, I did some research on medications I was taking. I was on 9 different medications and there was major interactions with the types of drugs I was taking. I mean, there was majors, there was minors, and there was low risk. And so 2 years ago, I stopped taking all my drugs, and I felt so much better. But now I'm having to go back on certain ones just to keep alive. But I've done research on this before because my sister was addicted to Roxyset, and I've always known that there's 3 or 4 different pharmaceutical companies out there, and it is all about power and money. That is all they want. It's greed, and that is one of the 7 deadly sins.
Right.
It's like marijuana. They had it scheduled as a class 1 just till recently, and they brought it back down. I mean, they had marijuana, which is a medicinal plant that was put on this earth to help people with problems and stuff. And then they had that scheduled as a class 1 above heroin, cocaine, meth, all that. And now they dropped it back down. And to me, I mean, God put that plant on this earth for that purpose, to help people with medicinal problems. I mean, it is a medical plant. It's like aloe vera is a medical plant. Comfrey also helps with medical problems. And also, I heard about a year ago, Dr. Oz came up with a cure for diabetes. A single pill, you take it once a day or whatever, and you can cure your diabetes. He was sued and had to take all his research and stuff and take it off the market and everything, and by the pharmaceutical companies. Which, I mean, if somebody's going to come up with something that's going to cure something, it's all about that power, the money, the greed. And that's just it. It's greed.
That's true.
Yeah, it's just not fair to people. Sex addiction, yeah, it's not classed as disease, but there are people out there, there's females that are out there that are nymphos. That's all they want. They crave it. And men, yeah, that's all it's on their brain. I mean, every 20 seconds, they're thinking about it.
So let's go with like the doctors and everyone in the higher up that's saying that they want the money for the pills, right? Or they say that they want the money, so they're saying that the pills will help and affect, but they don't even, how many of them are actually on it, and how many of what medicines did they use, and then what were the side effects of theirs that they did. And then, I mean, because they go to doctors too, so where's their doctors, and what's their opinions on medicine, and what's their opinions on the medicine that they take? Did they have anything that happened to them? And then if, they have researchers and studies and stuff like that, but then did they ever acknowledge it? Did they ever, I don't know the word. And then, so it's kind of difficult when you say that. So, a lot of people say it's money and greed. And it's true because, they don't go actually to the researcher. They don't talk to the patient or the client or the research person. And they don't see the whole effect. Like, they don't know what's going on in that person's mind. They don't know what the person's feeling. They don't know the person's thoughts. They don't know the side effects that happen to that person. So, they go and they say, it's like literally they're saying that this person is just like person number 1 on this drug, test 1. So, they don't respect it. They don't care for it. They just do that. So, it's a mere thing, it's money in your wallet, but dude, you are affecting so many people. And, these people, some medicine messes up on one term, then that medicine is on that person for as long as you can with the side effects and everything that's going on. So, with that saying, it's awful. And so, you get this businessman, right? And he's coming there and he's saying this and he's saying, oh, we know it's fine. It's totally fine. Don't worry about it. This person is sitting there probably shivering, freaking out. And he's like, it's medication. And you want me to do that? When we go on medication, it's not what we want, it's what we're trying to heal ourselves. So with us saying, there's this big scary ass man right in the corner of your room. And you're trying to tell me, or it's in front of the desk. We'll say in front of the desk. And he's telling you should do this and you need this, right? And then this person's like, well, I don't know what that does. What the hell is that? So then that person is literally trusting this businessman and everything he's got and everything he's doing. He's got his lifestyle right there too, And so what happens when that businessman's like, okay, well, here you go, take that pill. Well, then the dude's freaking out and he's like, well, okay, well, let me ask about the questions, So that person's like, okay, so what does the medicine do? And the doc and the businessman's like, don't worry about it,
It's like commercials. Every commercial you see about a drug, They give you the side effects.
Yeah.
So for every side effect, they're going to have a new pill for you to take.
Yeah.
You know, so they just keep shoving the drugs into you.
More the
But yet-
merrier, right?
That's not.
Then you get extra income.
Yeah, it is all about power and money. The pharmaceutical companies, AMA, they're all part of that 1% of our government or of the world that is, you know, the rich people. It's bullshit.
Thank you, ladies.
Yeah.
Well
Very
done.
well done.
Way to
Fire.
go.
Fire.
Right. See, it's not so bad, right, Lauren?
Fire, Lauren.
She just kind of went off there, and I'm like, oh my gosh, here she goes. Okay, so
Wow.
yeah,
Fired.
okay, so that's good stuff. Okay, so that I don't think we should go to an hour. It looks like Amanda has conversations with herself.
I know. I love
you,
it.
Amanda, but let us answer one before you ask another one, right? Okay. But anyway, I love what the ladies had to say. One of the things we didn't touch up on was marijuana. Specifically, Lori talked about it. When you talk about what marijuana has had an impact on the world, you know, you got to think back to George Washington was growing hemp, you know, and you got to think about this. But let's talk about something, a history lesson real quick. So we actually used to get a natural supply of hemp in all of our daily living. And the reason why is because cattle used to grain on the large hemp fields that were across America, right?
Right.
So cows would graze on hemp and it would go into their bodies, and then we would eat the beef, and that
Or
beef
drink
would
the milk.
or drink the milk, and that would
Right.
become and give us hemp naturally in our bodies. What they started doing was they started regulating that, right? So what it has to do with natural health, it has to do with things that help our body. Now, again, I don't smoke marijuana. I'm going to say that right off the bat.
Me
I don't
either.
smoke marijuana. I don't take dabs. I don't do any of that stuff. And the reason is because for me, it leads to methamphetamine. So,
Me too.
so I just stay away from it. But at 5-Hour Recovery, we are not 100% against it.
We're not.
We do see the positive effects and people who are like, well, let's see, we can be on marijuana or I can be on 7 different medications.
Use my wife as an example.
You can use exactly. Okay. So it serves its purpose, especially in cancer. Will you talk about how marijuana helps her in her cancer treatment?
So my wife, she's amazing, right? She has gone through this whole thing without a single pain pill. And marijuana makes her be able to eat, keeps her from throwing up, helps her sleep, helps her anxiety. It does all these things that, well, AMA would argue with it back in the day, right? All of them would argue back in the day. They would say, oh, there's no healing bullshit. It's helped my wife 100%. My wife would be sicker than hell without it right now, and she would be a royal, not nice person. See how I did that? I thought about it.
And again, I think that's important that again, the discussion at least comes to the table, because in a lot of fellowships and a lot of programs, it's either you don't do drugs or you do, right? Well,
Right.
What do we define as a drug? When we look at the definition of what drugs are, is it the same people who are writing these definitions are the same people that are saying it's a disease? And you'll find out that the answer is yes. So the same people that are saying, well, fentanyl is a drug and marijuana isn't, are the same people that are saying that fentanyl is this and Suboxone is this. It's because they're making money off of the choices that you should be making and registering in your head, right?
So
you should be the one making these observations.
why is it okay for you to go to a doctor and get a prescription in some of these other places like NA? I've heard it.
Okay.
I've heard that, if your doctor prescribes it and you got an illness, it's okay.
Right.
Why is that okay and marijuana not?
For sure. These are things
Those are
like
questions we got to ask.
these
right?
are questions and discussions that we should have. And these discussions are important because what we're trying to do is we're trying to bring, like I said, a revolution, right?
Right.
The Bible says, Genesis 1:12, I've given you all the seed-bearing plants and herbs to use.
Right? Hey, I love the
Whoa.
biblical. I like
Marijuana is not a
Very
weed.
nice.
It is a plant.
Look how passionate she is about it. Like, this is the thing, is this is a discussion that Lori and us, we should all be having. Is because
Yeah.
look how passionate she is about it. And again, if you want to talk about biblical references, I'm all about the biblical
Yes,
references.
sir.
Like I am all about the Bible. That's the only book, right? Why do you read more of this book, the big book, than you read the real book,
No.
right? You shouldn't. And I'm not saying you shouldn't read AA. I'm saying that you should pick up a freaking Bible. Like you should be looking into the Word of God. And I'm not trying to get all religious on you. I'm just simply saying, why do we spend more time at meetings than we do at church? Think about that. How many meetings do you go to a week? Well, I go to 3 meetings a week. I'm with all my friends and I go to all these meetings. How much time do you spend in church? I don't go to church.
Well, they talk about
That
higher
is a
power
problem.
there, too.
That is a problem.
So
You
why
should
aren't
go
you-
to church. Yeah.
I mean,
Another one for you.
Okay, go ahead, Lori.
There's a root out there, or a plant
Mhm.
that somewhere back 100 million years ago or whatever, that a shepherd was out with his sheep or his goats or something like that, and these sheep started eating this plant. They started having massive sex. Okay, and so now they make it in a bottle. I'm not sure what it's called, but it's for people with guys with ED.
Right,
Of
of course,
right,
of course. It
absolutely.
all comes from.
It's all God's plants. That
Agreed.
Fentanyl is all chemically man-made.
Right, exactly, 100%. I agree with it. So what we'll do is we'll wrap it up at 40 minutes. Thank you guys for listening. Research these topics. What?
Nothing.
Oh,
Just pointing.
I was like, what is it?
Does it make you feel kind of?
Is it a bug? Says, let's see, marijuana was my gateway drug, like Derek told us alcohol was. Agreed. I mean,
Right.
and a lot of people got started with pharmaceuticals in general. Like, so I really wish, Amanda, I miss you. I love you. You're one of my favorite people, and she has a lot of knowledge.
Definitely.
Yeah, she has a lot of knowledge about this stuff. It's extremely valuable to listen to people who have actually gone through this. Again, with Lori is the same way. I feel like she has information that maybe I don't have. So like that's good information. That's information that we should all be studying. We should respect that. We should talk about it. We should bring it to a discussion, and that's what we want to do at 5
I
Hour.
think the three of us need to do it now.
Who?
You and me.
Well, come over, Amanda. When are we going to see it?
Yeah,
I'm just
right?
kidding.
I'm just saying.
Whenever I see you, no. We need to do a Monday night video too. But anyway, so we love you guys. Thank you for listening. Share this. Subscribe. Okay. I don't know
It's
how.
free.
Do you know how many people right now have not subscribed to our channel that are living right here at the facility? Like
Dude.
how many people come to our meetings every single
Don't
week
get
and
me
are
started.
still not subscribing? Like you should be subscribed to our channel because this is the discussions and stuff we need to have. Also, if you like and you comment, it goes through the freaking algorithm. So you want us to get recognized. You want us to know, not for self-recognition, because what we're trying to do is we're trying to embrace the idea that people need to be free.
Tell us
thinkers.
what we can do better.
Right. I'm all about
Please.
critiquing. Actually, tell Dan. Don't tell me. I'm not all about critiquing. I lied about that. Anyway, but
I'm always here.
But what I want you to do is join our movement. Join the
Yes.
5 Hour movement. These discussions need to start happening, and more lives will be saved. We need to seriously start working on it, people. So thank you. I'm Johnny Ray.
I'm Dan.
And everybody who, thank
I'm
you,
Lori.
Lauren. Thank you, Lauren and Lori. It was
Mention
the
your
double
walk.
L's. We'll call them the double L's. Thank you guys for watching. Yeah.
You want to mention what we're doing?
Oh gosh, good idea, Dan. So we are doing our first ever 5 Hour recovery event in June. It is going to be called Walk With Us. And the reason we are doing this thing called Walk With Us is because we're going to walk from one end of Broadway to the other. And it's 3 miles. You can join us at any part throughout the Broadway walk. You don't have to start at the beginning and walk all the way to the end. But what we're going to do is we're going to walk along Broadway and find all the resources that are there, the people that support addiction, the people that support mental health. We're going to go into their shops. We're going to support our gear. If you are in NA, bring your NA swag, wear your NA gear, and show up and walk with us. Show support for the addict. Show support for people who suffer from mental health. We're going to join forces in a large group. We're going to walk along the streets, and we're going to try to embrace the businesses and all the different people and things that support us and start a movement. This is what it's all about, starting a movement of 5 Hour recovery. So that'll be June 11th, starting at 10 a.m. at what state? No, not Safeco. No,
no.
What's the Aquasox Stadium? I don't know.
Oh my gosh.
I wasn't
we just
prepared to
drop,
plug it.
Mike?
Yeah. That stadium in every
We all know where
that
we're
one on Broadway. Join us there. And again, walk with us. It's gonna be amazing.
It will be.
Yeah.
I
Tuesday
know.
night meetings at 6:30. We speak here. We speak at 5th. We do stuff. I'm
We
not very
do all
good.
kinds of cool
I'm
stuff.
gonna have to rewrite our plugging because I'm not good at plugging us. So I'll have to rewrite that. Check out.
I
my
think
next
we should
video
have it
for-
scrolled.
I agree.
right
I don't know how
at the
to
end.
do it. It's
As we're
technology.
closing, just click a button and it just starts scrolling down.
It's technology. I don't understand yet.
I
Okay,
don't know.
I'll research it. All right. Thank you, everybody. Thanks for watching.
Deuces. That was fun.
Yeah, that was fun.
You did fucking